All right, guys. So welcome to the FullStackSDET channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what are the different locators we have in Selenium to inspect the various web elements on the given website, right? So right now we are on this particular website, which is a demo website from Swag Labs. So let me try to inspect this, right? So after inspecting, what we can do is when you click on this username, right? So you have this ID, right? So in order to interact with like uh, right now, so right now we are on Swag Labs website, which is like a testing website I have taken for example, right? So in the manual testing also, in order to perform the login, you have to perform the login using you will be providing some username like ABC and password is 123, right? And when you hit on login, so this is the manual step, right? But in order to work with Selenium and automate this process, so what you have to do is you have to inspect all these web elements, right? So this is one of the web element, like this is a text box. Again, this is a text box and this is a button, right? This is a login button, and the username is actually a text box here. So in order to interact with this web element, we have to inspect this web element. So perform right click on the keyboard, right, and inspect it, and use this arrow key over here, right, and click on this username. So when you do that, what happens is it will be giving all the element properties of this login button, right? So these are being written while the website is being developed by the developer, right? So these are the various different properties we have. So this is the input tag here. The first one is input tag here. So and these are the attributes, like type is an attribute, class is an attribute, data test is an attribute, ID is attribute, name is an attribute, and these are the values, like the and the string that you see inside a double quote is a value, right? So you have to use any one of these properties in order to interact with these elements, right? So we have got like various different types of locators that is available in Selenium. So basically Selenium provides 8 different types of locators in the older strategies approach. But right now in the Selenium 4, they have added a few more identification strategies, which will be seeing in the coming videos, right? So if I take you to this particular website, which is the official website for Selenium, and if I take you to this WebDriver, and if I scroll down and go to this web element part, if you click on this web element, and if you scroll down here and click on this locator strategies, and you'll be seeing these are the various traditional locators we have, right? As I mentioned earlier, like we have new locators also added in Selenium 4. So these are the various traditional locators that we have. So basically we have got a different types of locators available, and we have got 8 different traditional locator strategies, right? So first one is class name, right? First one is class name. Then we have CSS selector, ID, name, link text, partial link text, tag name, XPath. So these are the various types of locators that is available in Selenium, right? So talking about the first one, like a class name. So class name locates elements whose class name contains the search value, right? Compound class names are not permitted here, right? So we just have to we just have to have only single class name here. And CSS selector locates element with matching a CSS selector. Then we have ID. ID is the most commonly used because this is unique inside the entire HTML DOM, right? Then we have locate, and then we have the name here, which locates elements whose name attribute matches the search value. Then we have link text. Link text is basically used for any links, right? It locates anchor elements whose visual text matches to the search value. And then we have partial link text, locates another element whose visual text contains the search value. If the multiple elements are matching, only the first one will be selected, right? Then we have the tag name, locates elements whose tag name matches the search value. Then we have the XPath. XPath is also the most commonly used because what happens, we do not have the above mentioned different locator strategies inside the page. Then we take care of automation process through XPath. Like we create our own web element using this XPath various approaches, and then we try to interact with that element, right? So let's go to this demo website, which is Swag Labs, and let's try to automate this and try to identify this first web element, right? So if you take this arrow over here, right, so we can see like we have this ID here, so we can make use of this ID, right, and try to interact with this username, right? Basically username is a text field, so we should enter any web element value inside this. So let me quickly take you to Eclipse here, so just a moment. So this is the basic code snippet I have written before starting, right? So just to save some time, so I'll just try to modify this code itself in order to save some time here. So what we'll do is like I'll just say driver.get, and uh, I'll pass this uh, URL here, right? So I'll just go to this source demo website, and I'll just try to pass this URL. And what I will do is like driver, I'll say driver dot, which is like a object from like a Chrome driver, right? So driver dot find element by dot ID. So you can see like by is actually a class, right? And inside this class we have got all these static methods. So whatever the different locator strategies so we have seen on the Selenium website, right? So all those are available here, all those methods are available here, and all these are static methods. Can you see that is mentioned here, right, in red? So all these are static methods, so you can see all these different methods like class name, then we have CSS selector ID, link text name, partial link text, tag name, XPath. All these options are available here. So right now we have a value as ID, right? And if ID is there in your web element, then you can directly make use of that, right? Oh, so just a second. So if I take you to this demo website and pick up this one, right? So by.id username dot send keys, right? And we can pass any value here like ABCD, right? Or else we can provide the actual username. So let's pick up this username and go to this Selenium here. And before like going to the scripting of the rest of the things, let me take you to Selenium website documentation process, like API documentation. So we are on this Selenium API docs, right? And if I click on this by here, which is a class, and you can see this is a class here, and which is like extending a object class, which is the supermost class in Java. And these are the various direct known subclasses over here, right, for the by classes. So you can see like class name by dot class name, then CSS selector or ID, link text by dot name, partial link text, tag name, XPath. All these different classes are present, right? And we have different methods here. So whatever the methods that we discussed, like we have different approaches here, right? So as we discussed, like we have got a different 8 different locator strategies. So all those strategies approach has been provided in terms of method here, like class name, CSS selector, equal CSS selector. Then we have other approaches like ID, link text, name, partial link text, tag name, and XPath, right? So if I try to click on this ID, then you can see like this is a method, public static by, which is a class, which is actually a return type by.id. And then what is the parameter it is asking for? It is looking for the value of the ID attribute to search for, right? And it is going to return a by which locates elements by the value of the ID attribute, right? So like this, we have various methods present here, and this is the official documentation, and the various methods has been provided here, right? So let me quickly take you to the Eclipse, and over here you can see like we have provided by.id username dot send keys. And if I run it, let me close this one and let me run this and show. Okay, so you can see like it has started launching Chrome driver, and it is gonna maximize the browser, and it has entered this as standard user, right? So I think we are able to perform the send keys operation using ID here. All right, so let me close this window, right? And let me try to use some other locator strategies, right? So we have a name here, right? So let us try to use this name method here by dot name, and I think the value is actually the same. Yes. So let me quickly run this. All right, so it has entered this standard user as a text inside this text box. So it is working fine now. So similarly, like we have other methods, we have various methods like XPath and other things, right? So if I go to this page, like we have this class name, CSS selector, ID name, link text, partial link text, tag name, and XPath, right? So let me try to use some other approach here, right? So we have seen like ID and name we have already seen. Let me try to make use of this class name to perform some interaction. So do we have class name over here? So I don't see class name over here. So let me try to, okay, I can see the class name is there for this login button, right? So what I will do is like I will just capture this class name and try to hit on this login button after entering this username. So I'll say driver dot find element by dot class name. Sorry, my dot class name, and this is the class name, and I'll just try to perform this click operation since this is a button. So we have to perform the click operation, and let me quickly run and see. So it has started launching Chrome driver. All right, so it has maximized the window. So we can see already it has clicked on this login button. So we are getting this error message which says like password is required, right? So it has worked. So like this, we make use of. So like this, we make use of this class name here, right? So, but this is not most commonly used class name because class name might be used with multiple web elements. So we have to be very much cautious, to use this class name. So, but I have explained how you have to use it, right? So similarly, like we can use of other web element like CSS selector. So CSS selector actually it follows a different approach here, right? So let me try to select this and copy this selector, and let me go to Eclipse. One second. Let me go to Eclipse over here. Say driver dot find element by dot CSS selector login button dot click. And what I will do is like I will just comment out this line number 14 because it is referring to the same button, which is like a login button, right? So let me hit on this run button. All right, so it has worked fine. So we are able to interact with this login button using the CSS selector as well. So this is the format. You can see like selector CSS selector follows a different approach. So we know that the ID was like username. So in order to write ID here, we have to uh, follow this approach, right? In order to work with CSS selector. So if it is ID, then we have to put hash here. If ID is like a login, then we have to use like hash login, right? So this is the simple, you can say the syntax for CSS selector. All right, so let me go to other options here. Like ID we have seen, name we have seen, CSS selector is done, class name is done. Then we have link text. All right, so link text, partial link text, basically it is used for interacting with any web element, right? That is having like links. And then we have this tag name and XPath. Okay, so firstly, let me go to this tag name, and then I'll come back to this link text and partial link text after covering this tag name and XPath. All right. So let me go to this demo website and tag name. So if you see like this is the input tag, right? So you can pick this input tag here, but this input tag, it should be unique, right? So we have to make sure like it is unique on the web page, right? So let me delete all this. Let me remove all this. Let me comment in this portion from here and by dot tag. All right, and let me call it as input. Let me quickly run it. All right, so you can see it has entered this standard user in the username text box. So here we have to be very much cautious, right? So we know that there are multiple tag names are present on this HTML DOM, right? And you can see like input is the first tag, which is here for username. And you can see another input tag is for password, right? But we want to target this first one because we are targeting to enter this username value in the first text box. So we have to ensure like we are having a like a single matching node here. It should not be duplicate, right? So what we have to make sure in order to work with Selenium is like we have to always check for like a single matching node. It should be single matching node because let's say if you target to reach to any destination, let's say you are going on a trip and you have to go to any specific location, and that specific location address name is for different places, then you might get confused. So similar is the case here. In order to work with any web element, you have to have any specific address which is pointing to the only one address. It should not be the case like multiple address are having same address, so that time Selenium gets confused. So you have to make sure like you are always providing a single specific matching node here. So in the upcoming videos I'll be showing you like how you can work on to identify single matching node if you have multiple matching there, right? Using various different techniques, and you'll be expert in that for sure. So we have seen other approaches, right? So tag name we have seen. So this tag name is not much in use. Mostly we use like ID name, XPath, CSS selector. So tag name, but we have to know, we have to have the knowledge whenever it is like possible, we can make use of this, right? And you can see like we have these input tags here, but on the real-time website we'll be getting all these input tags multiple times. So since we might be having lots of input boxes there, right? So you have to be very much cautious there, right? So let's go to another approach is like XPath. So in order to like interact with this username text box using XPath, so just select this and click on this inspect, and once again, so in order to work with XPath, you just go to this, and what you can do is like you close it first. So once you do this, inspect here and right click on this, and you just do the copy XPath. When you do this, what happens is like it will copy the XPath for this web element, right? So this is giving us XPath as ID is equal to username. Let's try to use this in our script and see if it's working fine, right? So what we'll do is like we'll remove this one and put it as XPath, and we'll provide this complete value. And let me run it. So XPath is the most commonly used approach here. So you can see like it has passed this value as a standard user, and it has worked fine. So let us come to this like syntax here. So syntax for XPath is like firstly we have to provide like a tag name. It will be always starting with like a double forward slash, and then we have this tag name, and then we have this square bracket, add attribute equal to value. So this is the general syntax for XPath, right? So this can vary, like we can have any tag name. We do not have to be dependent on any specific tag name here. So we can directly provide any tag name, whichever is there in the HTML DOM, and then we can pick any attribute, no matter what attribute they have provided. So we can make use of this attribute, and then we have to provide the actual value. So similarly, the case for this, like when we picked up this automatically generated this XPath from browser, so it has given us this star. It's present, it is saying like it can take any tag name, right? So it has picked up a star here, and ID, and then its value can be inside a single quote or double quote, doesn't matter. But whenever we have double quote here in the value, so we have to provide this escape sequence, like backward slash, otherwise it will give error by the Eclipse. And this is the simple syntax for this, right? If I modify this XPath that was generated by the browser, so let me try to modify this, keep it as input, id is equal to username. Let me put it as single quote over here instead of double, and let me quickly run it. So it should work in the same way. All right, so it has started launching Chrome driver, and it is now going to Swag Labs website. Yes, it has worked fine. All right, so we have seen the approach for XPath as well. So like this, we can cascade multiple tag name attribute value, right? So we can add multiple attributes here. We can say like attribute two is equal to value two. So like this, we can add multiple tag names here, and we can add it in order to have like single matching node, as I mentioned earlier. Like we have to have like a single matching node unless we are dealing with the multiple web elements, right? So we are done with this XPath thing. And then we have another approach for link text and partial link text. So link text is basically meant for like working with the various links, right? So if I inspect this page, right, and try to click on this overview. So this is a link. You can see like it is getting highlighted, and at the bottom you can see this is generating the complete URL. So this is a link actually. So how can you say this is a link? So this is having anchor tag. So link will be always starting with this a, which is nothing but like anchor tag, and using this link text. So you can make use of overview, which is like text for this link, right? So you can directly pass. So let me try to modify this here. Firstly, let me get this URL here. This is the complete URL, and I'll just try to remove all this, and I'll say driver dot find element by dot link text. So link text was overview, right? Yes. So overview. So whatever the text of the link is, you can just directly provide. So since this is a link, so we can perform the click. All right, so let's run it. So it should actually go to Selenium Dev official website and click on this overview. All right, so it has clicked on this overview option, and it has worked fine. So like this, we can pick any other links as well, right? So let us try with any other web element. Uh, let us try with any other links as well. So what we'll do is like we'll click on this downloads. Okay, we'll just add this downloads option, right? So now it should click on this downloads button, right? All right, so it has landed here. Now it should click on this download option. Yes, it has clicked. So like this, you can play around with the various links. So wherever you see like that is a link, so you can just provide the text of the link, right? But sometimes what happens is like this text gets bigger, right? Sometimes you can see like it is a big sentence, or they have provided the name which is like more than 100 characters or 200 characters or like that, right? Which is not easy for us to like put in the code, right? And that doesn't look good in terms of like readability perspective, right? So what Selenium guys they have done is like they have provided partial link text. Let's say this is the complete name of this any link, right? So we can provide this complete text uh, in the script, but this doesn't look good, right? So they have provided another approach which is like partial link text. So instead of providing this complete downloads here, we can just say like down low, right, up till here, as long as it is not matching with any other web element or the links on this page, it will work fine, right? So let's try to do that change. So let me try to remove till here and run it and see the impact. So ideally it should click on this downloads button. All right, so sorry, I think I haven't made it. So let me stop this. I should change this as partial link text, right? That is good. So it is going to the official website for Selenium, and it should hit on this downloads option. And yes, it has clicked on this downloads option, right? So like this it works. So we have to provide like partial text, not the complete string. We can further drill down to like a shorten this up to down, and let us try to run it and see if it works fine. And yes, it has worked fine. All right. So similarly, like we can play around with this, and let's try to work with one more link here. So I'll say document, which is like documentation. I want to click on this documentation link, so it should work fine. And yes, it has clicked on this documentation link, right? Yes, it has worked. So similarly, you can work on different links and the partial link text, right, on your website in the real-time projects. So that should work fine. So all right. So let's go back to Eclipse. So I think we have covered all the different types of strategies. We have like class name, CSS selector, ID, name, link text, partial link text, tag name, and XPath. All right. So we have covered all different strategies that is provided by Selenium. So we have few more strategies that they have provided, like relative locators. We'll be seeing in the next videos, right? So that's all in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.